Hey everybody, welcome back to Women's Death Metal History Month. And this month wouldn't be complete without having a great conversation with some of the incredible women that have played death metal. I'm talking women that have done it better than the boys have, ones that have pushed the genre forward, invented new stuff. They're not just emulating. And so let's go talk to some of these incredible women right now. I'm excited. Are you excited? Let's go. So we have three panelists here with us today that represent different eras, different backgrounds, and different styles of death metal. So I'm excited to speak with you all today. So I have Sharon Bascovsky, a guitarist and vocalist in Derketa and bassist in Eviscium, and who's been playing death metal since at least 1988, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and Maddie Kilpatrick is here, guitarist and vocalist for Cemetery Filth. And then Morgehenna, which is the guitarist and bassist in Emasculator, and also the guitarist and vocalist in PoonTickler. So thank you all for being here today. So let's start with a little background here. How did you all get into metal, and maybe even death metal, if that is your jam? But yeah, how'd you get into this stuff?
I guess I'll start. Just listening to college radio stations, and I think a lot of us from like that were born like 70s and 80s, we were listening to heavy metal, and then the college radio stations started like playing like thrash and different stuff like that, and it just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of like went there. Like different bands started, getting a little bit more, wicked with it all, like for like this, to make it sound as evil as possible. And then all of a sudden it was death metal. And the interesting thing about it, though, is I was talking to a guy from Germany who was a professor that's been doing research on this. And it wasn't like any particular scene started it. It was actually happening simultaneously around the globe, which is very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Just that's the natural progression of metal to go dark and fast and
Yeah.
extreme and
Yeah, I think like a lot of times when I try to explain it to people that are like non-metal people, I just kind of put it to like it's like horror music. So I think a lot of us were, growing up watching The Exorcist and things that really like gave us that type of scare. And then, you know, Ozzy with Randy Rhoads, like Diary of a Madman, had that kind of a feel going to it, Mr. Crawley and stuff. And I think all of that just kind of, grew like, okay, well, let's just do that, but make it darker. And the fact that none of us, we were all kids, we didn't know how to play like Randy Rhoads or any, so it was kind of like our, not having skills, and it kind of came out in the way it did.
And then Morgan and Maddie, extreme metal was a thing while you were getting into stuff, right? Sharon was there at the beginnings, but how'd you get into this stuff?
So for me, I was raised in like a cult, for lack of a better word. So I was very limited on what I was allowed to listen to. And as my dad started leaving the cult, he started like rebelling by listening to hard music. So like I would like sneak and like try to hear what my dad was listening to, and he'd be listening to like Metallica and System of a Down, Ozzy, even stuff like Jimi Hendrix was like off limits growing up in this cult. So yeah, as I started to leave the cult, I also kind of like saw it as a form of rebellion against the cult. And I just completely fell in love with it. I think I stole like one of my dad's Ozzy CDs, and then obviously like hearing Randy Rhoads playing, I was like, what the hell is this? Like,
Yeah.
it was unlike anything I'd ever heard. So just from there, it's just kind of like it's like a gateway drug. You end up like going heavier and heavier. And now I like brutal death metal. I guess that's how it started.
Maddie?
Um, I mean, I guess System of a Down was like the first hard band that I heard. You know, it was very Toxicity had just come out when I was in like sixth grade. And then, you know, I heard Metallica on the radio and I was like, whoa, like this is the real deal. I didn't even really know what I was talking about. And I downloaded a bunch of Metallica songs off of LimeWire. Fuck you, Lars. Oh God, can we curse?
Yeah, it's YouTube. I guess it's fine.
Okay, sorry about that. You can bleep me out if you want to. Um, and yeah, I had a very unique experience. I was listening to Metallica in class on my headphones and probably at a time when I wasn't supposed to be. And my teacher comes over and literally says, "Are you listening to Seek and Destroy?" And I was so like confused that I mean he knew exactly what I was listening to. And then forward, like he started to loan me a different CD from his collection like every day. So I was kind of like, I guess, shown the way by a guy that kind of grew up in the 80s and early 90s and was really affiliated with it. And first heavy death metal thing he lent me was Death's Human. And if you listen to our music, you can tell that's a huge influence on me to this day.
So it's one thing to listen to this style of music, but what went into deciding that like I want to play this style of music? I want to make these guttural sounds. Like, was there what? How did you come into this then as a performer, as a musician?
Well, I never wanted to. I I just wanted to be the guitarist. I mean, I still like writing songs. Um, but Terry originally, I had asked her to be the vocalist, but she had more of, I would call it more like a Fates Warning style of vocals. And I was like, no, no, no. I was thinking more something like Cam Lee. She's like, well, I can't do that. And I'm like, well, what instrument, do you want to play then? Or like, would you ever want to play an instrument? And she said, yeah, I kind of always wanted to play drums. And so I'm like, well, why don't you be the drummer? And then I'll be the vocalist. And I didn't even know if I could do it, but I just knew like what I was hearing in my head of what I was trying to come up with. And I don't know, I mean, at the time, like we were listening to like bands like Massacre and Death, and we had Nunslaughter here. So that was just kind of like the peer group that was happening. So it didn't seem odd or weird or anything like that. But yeah, so I got stuck doing the vocals, and now I don't, I'm used to it now. I don't mind it, but it wasn't like, I heard them and was like, I want to do that. Like I had that like with the guitar part, but not the vocal part. But
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I also wasn't really wanting to do vocals, but then I started to notice that like most of my favorite bands were like maybe three-piece or like four-piece. So I wanted to maximize what we could do with like the least amount of people. It was hard enough finding people to jam with, so I just ended up like, okay, I'll try doing this vocal thing myself. And I just started listening to a lot of like The Sound of Perseverance because his voice is like a way higher register on that album. So it was like a good starting point for me to learn how to do like death metal vocals and stuff. And yeah, as far as guitar though, so I started posting like covers of like singer-songwriter kind of stuff online, and people started roasting me so bad. They started telling me like how much I suck at guitar and stuff. And pretty much
I hate the internet. I really hate it. I'm sorry that happened to you.
it like, inspired me to want to get better. And then so at the time I was playing like mostly doom metal kind of stuff because like you don't really need that much technical skill to play doom metal. But yeah, people would tell me how much I sucked, how much my tone sucked and stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna prove them wrong. I'm gonna get better at guitar and prove all these people wrong, and I'm gonna like be a sick fucking guitar player. So I just like started learning really hard shit that was way out of my skill level. And then yeah, just like that's kind of where that's how I shaped my playing. It's just like learning things that were pretty much impossible for me at the time. and sitting with it for months and months on end, and then finally figuring it out.
It's weird for me. Like I always wanted to sing. Like I wanted to sound like Halford growing up, you know, like that to me was the ultimate vocalist. And but when it finally came time to start my own band, I'd been trying for years, but I just couldn't find anybody in Atlanta. It was kind of a similar situation. And I just kind of fell into it. Like nobody else was really confident or really wanted to do it. And I guess it's like, I'll give it a try. And I knew I could try that a little easier than I could like hitting like crazy high notes and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you figure out your guttural vocal styles, and how, did you experiment with some different sounds and feel like this is my sweet spot, this is where I'm at? Sharon, especially, was there even many things that Camly you mentioned? What was there many comparisons even to go from?
No, like at the time I wasn't even thinking of it being like a gender type of issue. It was just I had something in my head that I was, wanted to emulate. And a friend of ours, his name was Jeff Cherub from a band, they were Doomwatch. He's now like he passed away a few years ago, but he we were rehearsing out in his rehearsal room until Terry learned how to play drums and got her drum set and everything. And he ended up playing, and I know it's on cassette somewhere, and I don't know if I have the cassette or if he had the cassette, but he recorded it on just on a boombox, but he was playing Guitar to Death, Pull the Plug, and I was singing it. And like when you're like, you don't really know it, but when you hear it back, I thought he did something to it. And he was like, no, it's just a standard boombox. Like that's what you sound like. And I'm like, well, I guess I got the job. And that's that was the first time I ever heard, like, I didn't like practice in my bedroom or anything, like nothing like that. It was just, we were at his house, and he was like, well, what are you guys gonna do about the vocals? And I said, I guess I'm gonna do them, but I don't know if I can do them. And he's like, let's try it out. And that was that.
Awesome. Any other thoughts on how do you figure out your vocal style?
I think for a while I was trying to like emulate other people, and I found, for me at least, like you kind of just have to do what comes naturally. You just have to let it flow. But I would, for years I would just be like growling along to, Deicide or Napalm Death or something in my car, just trying to emulate that. And I do think in some ways it helped me like figure out certain techniques and how to go lower sometimes and do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I pretty much did the same exact thing in my car, turn on the record and see how close you can get. And then eventually, like, you find, like Maddie said, what feels natural, and then it just kind of comes out of you naturally.
Yeah, I can't do it sitting down, or at least I should say I never tried, but I don't feel like I could do vocals sitting down. So like in the car, like I couldn't do it,
No growling along to music in the car or anything?
No. No. I do sing to like, regular songs and stuff, but not like death metal.
Yeah, what do you all like outside of Sharon? Do you like listening to any death metal, or is it what do y'all like outside of what death metal?
Yeah, like I'm real down like a blues rock rabbit hole recently, and so I listen to, I mean, not just blues rock, but just like blues and stuff. Like I really like Lightning Hopkins and stuff. And there's like a haunting sound to the old blues that's what I use like for inspiration when I write, because it's so dark. It doesn't seem, that, I mean, when you really listen to something, it's so dark. Just, their experiences and how they're able to actually get that mood across in their music. So I listen to that. love like classic rock, like Free, the band, like Bad Company and Free. I absolutely, love listening to them. And even like Deep Purple, like all of that stuff. And then of course like Ozzy with Randy especially, and Black Sabbath. So I'm all over the place with that, but I mean lately I'm just completely obsessed with Rory Gallagher. So he's on like a constant on my playlist. So but with death metal, I do like I find myself like I'm not into like discovering new death metal. Like I always want to go to what I know I like Entombed, Left Path, or Morbid Angel, Altars of Madness and Bolt Thrower, any album Bolt Thrower. It's I have like my go-tos, and it's more or less like maybe like the comfort of nostalgia or something, because it makes me feel the way I did back then. So it's not anything that I, you know, like snotty that I don't want to listen to anything new. It's just, but that's like, to be honest, like that's the stuff that if I want to listen to something, I go to like my old pals,
Anyone else want to reveal all? Well, what else are you into?
You go ahead, Morgan.
Okay. I'm gonna use the cliche and say that I like a little bit of everything. Like, I like hip hop. I listen to a lot of funk, like Sly and the Family Stone, and like Rick James and Betty Davis. I even recently even got into country, which was like the one genre. Like that's always the thing people say is like, oh, I like everything except country. But I started listening to like George Jones, and he's really, really good. He's a great songwriter. And then I like grunge, punk, classic rock, like pretty much everything. Like I just love music and art as a
Yeah, if the
whole.
song's good, it doesn't matter the genre. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the truth. I listen to a lot of everything too. I'm actually a huge jazz head. Everything from like the bebop era, Miles Train, Sonny Rollins, stuff like that, up through pretty much the current era. The free jazz stuff kind of loses me a little bit, but I'm getting into it slowly. But I really love fusion. Like I'm a huge fusion fan. Um, and just a lot of classic rock. I mean, like all the stuff Sharon and um, just I don't know, just anything that has a good groove to it, I guess, good vibe. But yeah, hip hop, pop, I mean, all sorts of stuff. As long as it's done well, it's great.
So you're all songwriters too, right? And not everybody can write a song. Can you give us a little insight into your process, or how do you stay inspired? How do you write a song?
A lot of times with me, I write a song because I'm trying to figure out someone else's song and I stumble over something. I'm like, well, that kind of sounds good. And then, then I end up writing a song. But I always know that, like, I'll get a lyrical line over certain, you know, uh, like riffs I'll be playing, and I'll just like play it over and over, like just because I don't know, like, it could this end up being a song or something. And then I'll hear that lyrical line and that takes me to the next riff or whatever. And that's how the process kind of works for me. So it's like I can start to hear things, of how it's developing. A lot of times, like right now, like I'm sitting on like 10 or 11 songs that I haven't gotten all of the lyrics out yet, and it's like it's all like fragmented. So I got this lyrical line here, this lyrical line here, and I gotta, like, all these others I gotta fill in. And it's like I call it a mental puzzle, because then I have to just sit down and focus in. And when you're writing the lyrics, you have to get the phrasing just right so it fits over everything. It's like that's the hard part, because you start off with like, maybe like near a full sentence and you can't sing all that. So then you have to start slicing out, words to get it to fit. And then it just kind of starts turning into a song. It's like, oh, okay.
For me, it depends on what project it is. So for Emasculator, I don't write any of the lyrics or anything. So for the guitar songwriting process, I pretty much just think of like how it, for me, it starts with the first riff. It's like, how have I not started a song yet? So like, have I started a song with like just bass yet? Or have I started a song with like this kind of groove or whatever? Like that's kind of how I approach songwriting for Emasculator. I just think of like other songs that I really like and like how they start and what sets them apart from other songs. And that's just kind of how my brain processes that. And then for PoonTickler, I do write the lyrics for those songs. And those songs start with a song title. Like I just think of what is the most ridiculous title that I can think of. And I'm like, okay, what does that sound like? And I just start like riffing, and whatever comes out is what comes out.
For me, I've used kind of both of the techniques they've discussed. Usually I'll I'll have a riff in my head and I'll be like, what are they doing? And then I come up with something that's totally different, but I'm like, oh, maybe I can use that. I think sometimes these things come to you, you know, like they're meant to come to you. And kind of similarly, like I'll hear something in like a Gorgut song and be like, oh man, that's a really cool transition, or that's a cool song start. Like, let's go from there. And I've actually been like dealing with awful writer's block. So I've been really trying to like force it a little bit more, which I generally say you can't really do. Like you can't force a good song to come out, but something's got to give. So I'm trying all sorts of things to kind of get things to go again. But I think
I
generally
always write songs in the shower. Like it's the weirdest thing. Honest to God, like in the shower, I'll get ideas, and what I think is happening is because it's so like, you know, when you're showering, it's so automatic. You're not thinking about like, well, I got to do this next. I got to do this. So your brain kind of goes into just like it's hanging out. You know what I mean? And then I'll start just thinking of I'll start making up songs in my head. So you know, then I'm like, oh, I got to remember that. You know, a lot of times I forget it, but sometimes it'll be like a repeat song that's in my head. But it's usually when I'm in the shower. So maybe try that out.
okay,
Just
yeah.
you know.
Gotta do the
Yeah.
voice. Like you're gonna sound so ridiculous, but sing your riff into your voice notes and then go back to it later, and you will.
I've done that. Yeah. Everything that I write, everything is on my voice notes and stuff.
Yeah. No, I kind of similarly to the shower. I'm gonna try that, but they come to me when I walk or hike a lot, which is really annoying because I'm typically only have my phone, and I have plenty of like, I'm sure people have seen me walking down like a trail going,
Yeah.
you know, looking like a total idiot, but like it's weird. Yeah, things come to you when they come to you. I always think about Eddie Van Halen. He always said like he would never drive with music on because he'd hear all sorts of things just from like road traffic and road noise. Yeah, so I try to employ all these things.
Yeah, I when I'm in songwriting mode, which I've been in for the past few years, I love the quiet anyway, but a lot of times there's no TV on, there's no music, there's not anything. It's just I'm just sitting and almost like in a meditative type of, you know, with my thoughts, and my thoughts are just completely just, you know, just always like thinking of something and ideas and you know this and that. But if I block out the distractions, so like with TV, well, I got rid of cable TV long like years ago, so I just have antenna TV, and sometimes I'll just have that on just for sometimes for background, but for the most part it's just like the sound of my house is like just my furnace, you know, and that seems to get my head not distracted. And you know, and the other thing that I notice is I seem to get more ideas like early in the morning, like around like say like 9 or 10 a.m. Because I notice like, you know, like I'll be at work and I'm thinking of things, and that's where my brain just seems to be more, I don't know, like inspired. And then after work I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
So that's like something else. So maybe hike or something whenever like, and you know, see if the early morning, or not early morning, but early-ish, maybe that'll help with the writer's block.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
So what about that lyrical element? A couple of you mentioned there. How do you write lyrics? What do you write lyrics about? Are you pulling out like a thesaurus or a website for rhyming or anything, or what's your process for that?
With me, it's just phrases. Like it starts like I'll get a random phrase, and it just happened like whenever I had to go to the hospital for some testing, and it was I think it was something like I had to eat something where there was nuclear, and then I had to go back and get x-rayed or something. So I had to like hang out at the hospital for a few hours, and I took my laptop with me, and I just listened to our rehearsals over and over the songs. And it was the first time that I ever really did that, but I wrote lyrics for 4 songs, at least like the draft of them. They might change, it's a little bit here and there, but I got the concept of them. But the ideas all come from whatever phrase pops into my head as I'm writing. And so that makes this hard because I can't like watch a movie and write about a movie. I can't. The only time that I ever wrote something that was kind of like a real song was in Death We Meet, and that was that was the only time I've ever done that. But I wrote that song like in like something like 15 or 20 minutes, music and lyrics, and it was about my a neighbor that we grew up with. That she was kind of like a mom to me, but she was killed in a car accident, and it was just like something like the lyrics just all kind of like came like that's the only time that something like that has happened. Like the theme of my lyrics is always, I mean, it's kind of like, to me, it's nonsense because I never really know what the story's going to be until like I start getting to the end of it. But it's just random phrases, and then you kind of have to like make it into a story. But it's always going to be on the theme of death, dying, and all things in that manner.
For me, it's kind of similar. Sometimes I'll just like either hear a phrase or I'll read a phrase somewhere and just kind of like twist it in my own way. I sometimes will use like a thesaurus and the website Rhyme Zone.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
Eric Wagner, he used Rhyme Zone. Oh, a lot of his lyrics are coming from from what he saw on Rhyme Zone, by the way. But anyway, go ahead.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like because I find it's easier for me to remember things if they rhyme. So I do have rhyming in a lot of our songs, I think, and that's just if I'll come up with a phrase or a general idea of like what's supposed to happen in the lyrics, and then I'll be like, all right, I got to make sure this fits. So I'll use thesaurus.com and rhymezone.com for that reason. I guess, yeah, our lyrics are all over the place lately. We started off doing like just standard Lovecraftian horror stuff, and it's just gotten a lot more out there. A lot of it's about kind of self-empowerment, but it's just veiled in like this like dark shit just for fun.
Morgan?
It's hard to say for me because like really the only stuff I've written is like porno grind stuff since I don't write Emasculator, and I don't know like how much I should curse on here, so I'm just keep it pretty vague there and say like I just like think of what's the most ridiculous saying that I can think of, and then I just like write around it pretty much.
So writing these things separately is one thing, right? Writing the song, writing the lyrics. But then a lot of bands, right? You've got a vocalist and that's all they do. But all of you have some experience, I believe, with doing vocals and playing another instrument at the same time. And can you give us some insight into how difficult is that? And do you ever run into an obstacle where you're like, no, this line of lyrics, I cannot do this while I'm playing this part? Do you ever have to like cut down that or any of that?
Yeah. Yeah. It is kind of difficult, and there's been times where I would have to, mention stuff to the band, like I can't, like there's some songs that like they're like, oh, let's play this one live, and I'm just like, you know what, that's going to give me so much anxiety because there's a lot of lyrics that like I don't get a lot of like breath like within it, but sometimes we will do it, but it's always like the one that I always try to put on the back burner. But with me, like I have to make sure that as long as I'm trusting them be, like with Mike with the drums and all, oh Jesus. It's so nice if it was the wireless. Just got clothesline. This is Bailey, by the way.
Hi, Bailey.
But I'm trying to keep her occupied with these bullies. But anyway, but yeah, like with Mike, there's times that I, like he wants to play faster, but I'm like I can't. I got to do the vocals, and like I think they understand, but like a lot of times I have to tell them, like we need to slow this down because I can't just get the right vibe or whatever for the vocals. But it is hard and the one thing that I have that I'm trying to that I work with now is when I'm just trying to play guitar and learn different things on guitar. I'm so used to like tuning out what I'm playing because when I play in live, whatever I'm playing is automatic. I'm not even paying attention to what I'm playing because I'm so focused on the vocals and the tone, because it's not just we're just singing, doing death metal vocals. There's a little bit more to that of getting that tone, and then you have to control the depth and the tone. So that's where my focus is, and plus remembering lyrics. So there's a lot going on that I need to make it that I have the guitar parts as automatic as possible, so I can just focus on that. But like I said, it messes me up because now if I'm just playing guitar, it's like my brain just like flatlines when I need to concentrate and I need to like really think about how I want to hit that note, or if I'm trying to learn like someone else's song. But my brain will like I'll notice like I'm like, oh my God, I really screwed myself. Like I thought I figured it out for like live, but then I kind of created another problem for just regular playing. So
I've
that's
had
my experience with it.
I've had the same problem where like when I started learning guitar, I was also doing vocals. So I had to like train my brain to be able to do just one thing or the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really hard. Like, for example, for Emasculator now, we're trying to do like gang vocals with like 3 of us at a time. And because Malika is like just a vocalist, when she writes some of her vocal parts, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, I would be vocal like this. It doesn't go with the riff at all. But when she does it, it sounds incredible because she's not writing it as a guitar player.
Yeah.
I write my vocals, it's around the riff because I'm a guitar player. So definitely like a learning experience, a learning curve. And I feel like the only way to do it is to just like trick your brain. Like you either have to focus on one or the other or see it as like one piece. And sometimes it's hard to see it as just one piece. So you just have to like find the way that works the best for whatever part you're trying to do.
Yeah, it's rough trying to get like a different vocal melody when you're playing guitar, like to kind of separate from that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the coolest thing though, is when like the vocals break away from the general rhythm of the music, and it's so hard to do that. Yeah. When you do it, you feel amazing, and you're like, oh my God. I never thought that I could do it. I mean, I tried it at practice, and I think I quickly found that like the music as a whole, like this, when you're doing a live band setting, it's so loud that I think your body just like follows it. You don't even have to think about the guitar part. Like it's kind of fascinating to me because I still don't know how I do it. I tell people that all the time. I was like, I have no idea. Like it just comes. But yeah, like other people's songs, really hard. Our old guitar player actually wrote some amazing, brilliant, just super detailed lyrics for a song one time. And I felt horrible, but I was like, dude, I can't do this. Like they just aren't written in the flow that I do naturally. And like we've done quite a few covers, and thankfully a lot of them like I've been able to do okay. But like we did like Bolt Thrower or Cenotaph, and I know that song front to back. I've heard it a billion times, and for whatever reason, I could just never remember it right. Like I'd be like studying the lyrics driving to a show, just it's wild how your brain works that way.
Yeah.
Any tips for memorizing lyrics so anybody watching doesn't just go out there and like mumble growl?
Nope.
I get severe anxiety before our live shows. You can ask Robin, like it's always, like something like I get like just, like I started getting into transcendental meditation, and that's helped. And for like MDF, I was surprised. Like it was the first time I tried it before a show, and people were talking to me, but they didn't know that I was like, I had myself in like a really calm state. And when we went on stage, it was the coolest thing. Like I was just like I got this. But other shows, I'm like, I don't remember the first line. So what I would have to do, like a lot of times, like Robin would tell me, she'd start like just like telling me like what the first word would be, because I was just so just anxious. But a lot of times with like the newer songs, I would write cheats like on the set list, and I would just, if I put the first word of each verse, then it would like jar the memory. And then we were at a show, and some guy like took my set list, and we were like, while we were playing, I was like, oh no. But that's I don't know if there's really maybe just listen to it over and over and over and over. But it's before the stage, there's something weird that can happen. Like if you're anxious, I mean, some people, I think they, you can tell they really love being on stage. Like I'm not a fan of it. Like I'm very stoic on stage, and I just go blank right before, like I can't even remember how the first riff goes and all this, and Robin's usually calming me down. But I don't know if you guys have any good tips.
Yeah, anybody else have stage jitters, and how do you deal with that? Or do any of you have superstitions, like you've got to do something in particular before you hit the stage? Or
no superstitions. I definitely get anxious sometimes. It's thankfully, I think with time it's decreased, but there's still shows occasionally where I'm like, oh my God, like for years I would always like have a drink or two before a show. I don't really do that anymore. I just don't drink as much, but I just kind of do what I can do when it comes to like memorizing something and making sure I can play it. If it's a new song, I will, like, even if we haven't recorded it yet, I'll get some crappy rehearsal recording and record my vocals over it. And then I'll just sit on the couch with my guitar and even unplug, just like headphones on, listening to it and just trying to match what was recorded just to drill it into my mind.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because Robin has made comments to me like, why don't you just say anything? And she doesn't understand that that'll throw me off. Like I can't just like say like nonsense. Like I have to actually, because then it's like it'll throw me off to whenever for the line that I do remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's tricky. But go ahead, Morgan. I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of lucky because I can kind of cheat. Like with Porno Grind, a lot of the vocals just sound like toilet noises. So like even yes, there's lyrics there, like it's noticed. I like a different toilet sound probably. I think like as long as I get the sound, like I know what the word sounds like. So if I don't know what the exact word was, but I do the sound for the word, sometimes that works. Sometimes it works for death metal too. Not as much as it does for Porno Grind, but I think you can use it for both genres.
So,
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you're good.
I was gonna say I've had plenty of people be like, well, why don't you just growl? I mean, it's death metal. Nobody hears what you say anyways. And I'm like, dude, like, you don't understand. I'll just lose where I'm at. And also, like, there's something super important to me about, like, I've always loved singers where you can really hear their enunciating, like Chuck, David Vincent, Tucker, Sharon. I mean, everybody, it's like, it adds so much power to the music to me compared to, like, I mean, obviously, like, early Cannibal or something, you know, Chris Barnes or whatever. Like a lot of the time you can't quite understand what the hell he's saying. He makes it work, but I just gravitate towards singers where they're really powerful and they put a lot of energy into the words they're saying.
Yeah, I have to have actual words. I can't. Yeah, that it'll completely throw me off if I were to just to kind of just. You know,
This is why I'm not
I guess.
why I play guitar mostly, because I'm so horrible at remembering lyrics. Like, it's really bad. Even with, it's weird because for songs that aren't guttural, I can remember, like, if I haven't listened to a song since I was like 11 and then I hear it now, I will remember it word for word if it's not
Yeah.
gutturals. But for some reason with death metal, like, I guess because it's more like, I guess more intricate, the words are a little more like, I don't know, it's not
Yeah.
as simple like a pop song, you know? So for me, I'm just like so bad at remembering lyrics. I'm horrible at it.
Yeah, death
But
metal speak is so thesaurus heavy. You take something
it is.
simple and then you use elaborate language for it. Effigy of Forgotten, right? Talking about a
Death
grave or
metal
something.
speak.
Yeah. Uh, so what about playing live? How important is playing live for you, and what is that experience like for you? How does that feel for you to perform live? What do you get out of it?
I don't know. I'm not even really there when it happens. I'm just stoic, and I know that freaks a lot of people out. Because a lot of times I won't realize it, but I'll accidentally like be staring at somebody, and I don't realize that I am, and they're like, "Oh, what is she doing?" Like, you know. And so I've had people come up to me afterwards, and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even realize." Like, because you know my eyes are open, and I'll just lock in on something, and I'm mentally like counting down each song, like you know, 4 more to go, 3 more to go, you know, and just trying to get through it. And so I'm half there, like so I can't really enjoy it like I think with how other people can. It's fun
I think
though. I do, once we get going, and as long as I can hear the instruments okay, because that's the one of the biggest gripes with me is when some of these stages or whatever, they don't they want you to turn your amp down and just use the stage monitor, and it sounds horrible, and so it's so hard to get into that feel, like that vibe of it. And so once I can hear, like we get a set, and like Maryland Death Fest, like that was perfect. But I had a conversation with the sound guys prior, and I told them, I was like, look, this is this is what's going to matter most to me. Like, can you make this happen? And they said, oh, definitely. And it was the best stage sound we ever had. We could all hear each other. Could all hear like the right tones of our instruments. And we had a great show. Other shows, there's been times where I feel like I'm like a mime, because I can't, like I know they must be hearing it like as it should be, but I'm not hearing, like my guitar sounds like a transistor radio, like it's awful. And so it's very hard, like when you find yourself in that situation, to get through it, and so that, but if I had the same stage experience every time, um I think, my opinion might be different, and maybe I could enjoy it, but a lot of times, like, going back to the remembering lyrics and the controlling vocals and stuff, like I'm concentrating on getting into like blocking everybody. I mean, they're not blocked up because I know they're there, but just not thinking about like, oh my God, I'm in stage in front of people, I have to, you know what I mean? Like I just kind of like, okay, let's just go, and then just get through it as much as possible.
I think kind of like what Sharon said is just like, so I don't really feel like I'm fully there. Like I want to be there. I want to be like in the moment, enjoying it like crazy. And I guess maybe I am, but it's mostly just like it goes by in such a blur. It's insane. And occasionally I'll get like I always try to tell myself, like, okay, I got to say this. I got to thank these bands. I got to thank the sound people, all that kind of stuff. And I usually forget to do all that, but
I
occasionally
know, yeah.
something will like break through the cloudiness and be like, move around. And I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta move around. Okay, cool. It's like, it's either like totally in the moment, just like not really there, or like me punishing myself mentally, be like, move around, you know, sing this, do that. Make sure you get that solo right.
For me, I definitely get really nervous, but I use that adrenaline to like fuel me to go harder on stage. And I just like, I don't know, I just get into the moment. I have fun, but just like Sharon said, if the sound is bad, like that makes the entire difference between if you enjoy your or not, because like you can only hear like yourself. Like we just played New Standard Elite Fest, and for like the first two songs I literally could only hear myself, and I'm just like it probably sounds, we're not even playing the same song right now, and that's like where,
yeah, it's a nightmare.
like how are you have fun when like I don't even know what it sounds like. Do I sound like shit right now? Are we playing the same part? Like it's really
but it's funny because you know, when your rehearsals, you all can hear each other all the time. So we rehearsed to that type of a scenario where we're, you know, able to like have that experience. And we go to like a club that has like, you know, thousands of dollars set up and all that, and then we can't hear each other. And that's the part that is like, explain that to me. Like, why don't we just have a show in my rehearsal room? Because then I know like we're all gonna like hear everybody, you know. But
yeah. And then to make matters worse, with my band Emasculator, we don't get to practice. Like sometimes the first time we got on stage, we never had practice. Like that was the first time all together was when we played our first show. So that and shitty sound, it's just like, it's really easy to kill your confidence with like a like that. But
you guys don't live near each other.
No, we're all in different states, and our vocalist is in a different country.
Ooh.
Yeah, so if we get a practice in, we're lucky. We're about to play MDF, and the last time I played MDF, it was literally the best sound I've ever had for any shows. So I'm really hoping it's the same thing again this year, because
I'll see you there. I'm going.
Oh, yay, cool.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case. So maybe this is just a broader kind of metal cultural norm thing, but before you hit the stage too, what kind of attire does one decide to wear? Like maybe some are just picking a shirt that they think will get them like the cool points or whatever, right? But how much does that matter to you? How you appear on stage to the audience?
Yeah,
You need to be theatrical, or
that's a big one with me, because I grew up, there was such a, you know, a difference, you know, because I grew up a tomboy. So, you know, you know, back in those days, like there definitely were a lot of girls in the metal, like rock music, I should say. I mean, it was just the death metal that, you know, had fewer of the girls in it. But, you know, if you watch like a Van Halen video, or, you know, any of the, like Ozzy, even, like there's a ton of girls, like there was always girls like going, like they liked heavy metal and rock, but they always dressed in a way that was provocative. And that was something that us girls that got into, like, that were gravitating towards like thrash, like Slayer, Metallica and all that, that was really frowned upon. And so like I still just don't relate to that type of an image. And to me, a lot of that, a lot of the females that've gotten into death metal, they're taking on more of like that heavy metal sexy image. And that's so disappointing for me, because there was like, we were trying to hope to break people from like making themselves as sexual objects, you know, and that it should be about the music. You should be able to attract people by what you're writing, not, you know, like the whole smoke and mirrors things. So that, hey, that's always kind of been a little bit of a weird topic, because I'm very opinionated about it. But at the same time, you should wear whatever's comfortable for you. Like I have to wear like the way I dress normally, like how I have to feel comfortable. you know, and I have to feel that like the best version of myself, you know, like if I'm having like say like a bad hair day and it's all frizzy or something, that's going to throw me off. And that's another thing that Robin gets on me because she's like, you look exactly the same as you do every day, but I'm like, no, like I got to get another shower because like I feel off. So I have to feel like my best version to get up in front of people. So I you know, so for me, like I'm very like, you know, I dress the way that how I grew up. Now, a lot of the younger people, like they're dressing in the way that they relate to. So if it, you know, people have to dress how they're comfortable, you know, and I just think that's, you know, I just hate to see whenever it turns into like they're making themselves a sexual object because I hear what the people say about them and it's awful. Like the guys making their crude comments and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, it gets to a point where people aren't even paying attention to the music because they're just like, oh, look at her tits and stuff, you know, just like, oh, come on. So I hate to see girls put themselves in that position. And a lot of the role models, unfortunately, dress that way, you know, and like going into the heavy metal, like with Lita Ford and all that, like it's like a lot of them did that. It's just like, oh, that's bringing in like the creepiness to it all. So,
Mm.
but that's just my opinion. But I do think that it does matter, and I make sure that like if I'm wearing a t-shirt, it's one that I feel good in, like it feels comfortable in, like it's not going to be like stiff or tight or anything. Like I have to like, you know, feel like okay. And then recently, well, not recently, a few years ago, I had a mishap with lighting. So I should put this out there in case, because this could maybe save someone, you know, like having a bad photo experience. But I wore blue jeans, which I've worn blue jeans like plenty of shows before. And then we were asked like, what color lighting do you want to use? And so we're like, blue, yeah, that'll look all spooky and blue, you know, and like graveyard looking, you know. And then the very first photo that I see when we're done, somehow with the blue lights and my blue jeans, I like both my legs look like one. So I look like I was 400 pounds. And it was just the way, like, with the blue lighting, like the seams of the jeans changed. But then if someone took like a black and white photo, I look normal size. So then I'm seeing all these photos in the blue. So that's like a rule, like no more blue jeans, like no more blue lighting, no more blue jeans. So sorry, my dog's all wanting to go for a walk.
Others on stage attire.
So I agree with part of what Sharon was saying. I also disagree with part of it. So to me, I think men are gonna sexualize women no matter what. Like men sexualize children. Men have been sexualizing me since I was a minor. So to me, it doesn't matter what I wear. Just the fact that I'm a woman existing in a male space, I'm gonna be sexualized, which is it's unfortunate, but that's kind of just how it is. For me in brutal death metal, I feel like a lot of the guys take pride in like being as low effort as possible. And that's fine with them, but like I'm a girl, I'm pretty girly. Like I like to wear makeup. I like to like wear cute shoes, you know, like I'm a girly girl. And if I'm gonna play music and make music in this space, I'm gonna be myself. I'm not gonna try to masculinize myself to fit into the genre because like in a way, like we are the minority in this genre. So I think it's up to us to set the standard. Like I don't want to follow the male standard. I want to create a new standard for women and what we're allowed to wear and how we're
It's just, you know, like I hear what you're saying. It's just that look meant something different back years ago. That's you know, it's not that it's yeah, it's just it's a different meaning. And I think a lot of the guys, especially the older ones, may be slightly confused because that actually girls dress that way because that's what they were wanting to attract. You know,
I get what you're saying.
That's my point to that it's, you
The
know,
heavy look. Sure, that's like a pretty specific look, but I just mean like as far as like I'll wear a band shirt, but then I'll wear like cute something, you know, just so it's like a little bit girly because that's just who I am in my everyday life. So I'm gonna like masculinize myself to play this music because like it didn't come from a masculine place, it came from me. So I feel the need to represent myself accurately. And like that's kind of what a poser is pretending to be something you're not, right? So
that is very true. Like that's what I said. You should do. It's a different generation with the younger. This is
for sure.
With the younger.
I think just being yourself and you know, representing yourself.
You have to be comfortable with
for sure, yeah. Okay, so one time I actually did try to play in like these crazy boots and I had to stomp on a pedal for a solo and I like busted my ass. So yeah, comfort is definitely important, but I don't know, I think you should just be yourself and like wear what you feel good in. Like some people feel good in like a 13-year-old like band shirt that's like, you know, just like worn and vintage and cool, and then other people will feel good and like I don't know, just something that looks nicer to them. Like I think as long as you're comfortable, like Sharon said, and you feel like yourself, your natural representation of yourself, then I think it doesn't really matter that much what you wear on stage, or I think it shouldn't matter. It definitely shouldn't take away from the music. Like
it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be really empowering for some to really embrace maybe a traditionally more feminine aesthetic, and maybe it's just collateral damage then that sexist pigs also happen to like that. So, you know, at what point are you sacrificing what you enjoy for, once again, going back to the patriarchal norms of... but Maddie, we haven't heard from you on this yet. Where are you at? I really appreciate these different perspectives.
Well, and I kind of see the middle ground between both of them. I think,
yeah.
You know, and Sharon said it too. You got to be comfortable. I don't know if any of you know who Jordan Jensen, the comedian, is. She's a stand-up comic that's kind of getting pretty big right now. But anyway, she's kind of, I guess, tomboyish, and like in one of her like specials, she like pulls like these two like very all done up gorgeous women up on stage, and she's like, see, this is what I wish I could be like, but I can't. It just doesn't work. And that's kind of just the way I feel. Like I've tried it and it's, you know, I see how it could be very empowering for some people, but in the end it just didn't feel like me. So I mean, I've just always been, I mean, I grew up a thrasher, so like I've always just been ripped jeans and a t-shirt, you know, just and I've kind of embraced that into like, you know, the feminine way as best as I can, while also just trying to make sure it's comfortable. Because ultimately, I want to be up there looking like, I don't know, you like see like, you know, all the old footage from the 80s or 90s, even modern bands, and it's just like the death metal look is kind of just like teenage nuclear fallout kids, like up there just in jeans and shirts and bullet belts and like, you know, just looking as like evil, but also like, I don't know, punk as possible. Just, yeah, you know, but comfort is key. Comfort and just confidence and just making sure that you feel good. And absolutely, like, I can't tell you how many times I've put on a shirt and been like, oh, I love this shirt so much. And then like it comes time to get up on stage and I'm like, this is the most uncomfortable thing ever. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really glad we shared these different perspectives, though, too, because I feel like people watch this and different people are going to connect with some of these different things. But I think it's really important to hear different you know, perspectives rather than just hearing the echo of one person. That's one of the reasons I like to have different people communicate with each other that maybe haven't before. So all of you, I believe, have had experiences playing in bands with both men and women. Is that a different experience to be in a band with men versus a band with women? And can you give us some insight into what are those differences, if there are any?
Yeah, I do think there are differences, but I don't think that either like one's worse than the other. It's like a different dynamic. Like I really enjoy the female male dynamic. That's like a completely different sense of humor. So like when I'm playing with Eviscium, it is just so it's just hilarious. Like it's just they're just like funny guys. It's very um like down to earth, or something. So I really enjoy it. Now we have Mike as the drummer, and yeah, it's a good dynamic. It's just very I don't know, more down to earth. But I also enjoy playing with the female musicians because I can relate to them a little bit different. So a lot of times poor Mike, he has to listen through, like some topics that come up, like if we start like, talking about like, I mean, nothing like overly female, like I don't mean anything like that, but just stuff that girls would talk about. And Mike's just like kind of like sitting there waiting till we're done. And we're just like, oh, sorry, Mike forgot. So, so I enjoy you working with both, just for, different reasons.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean,
you go ahead, Maddie. Go ahead.
okay. All I'm gonna say is that I think it really just depends on the individual. Because I've been in a band with men who were, just kind of, I don't want to. They weren't pigs, but they were just like, much more just like your typical death metal dude, I guess, if you want to like say that. And I haven't been in bands with them, but I've known women that are kind of like that too. They're just a little bit more, like I don't know, like loose and kind of like fun and just whatever. And then like my bassist Evie, she's very quiet but very like well worded and just very chill. And there's been times where, she and I will be talking about something and like I can tell Tristan, our drummer, is just like, okay, what are y'all talking about?
I definitely prefer to be in bands with women. Just like being in an all-girl band has been like, I don't know, like our connection feels stronger to me than it was when I was in a band with guys. And also like girls just smell better. So like on tour bus, like I'd rather be stuck in a tour bus with a bunch of girls than like a bunch of big death metal dudes. But yeah, I don't know. It's more like an emotional connection. Like I feel like it also could just be the individuals because I haven't really been in very many bands. But I just feel like the women in the bands that I'm in have like really good emotional intelligence, which makes for like better communication if there is like a problem within the band. It's easier for us to talk about things than I've had like bands with dudes where they just like beat each other up and they're like, okay, now we're better. I'm like, cool, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I'm glad that worked for you guys.
Yeah, that would be awkward if, yeah. But it definitely is an individual thing. I agree with that. Like I wouldn't be in a band with just anybody. I'm very particular.
Oh yeah.
And the people that I've played with, like I wouldn't even have invited them to my house if I didn't like them. So
Right.
like being in a band with them, like even the people that are no longer in the band or whatever, they've all been a pleasure. They've all had their own uniqueness, and we end up having a great time.
So I'd increasingly like to hear some of these perspectives on some of these the experience of gender in death metal, in heavy metal now, and not only because some people might watch and relate to some of these things. Hey, somebody else knows this experience, but also some of the guys watching might be completely ignorant of this stuff, often living in their bubble where nothing's wrong, right, or anything. But first, maybe the business side of things. Have you ever experienced anything, any kind of different treatment, either from a record label or from a venue or anything on that side, just because you're a woman?
I never pay attention to it, so I don't know if we are being treated different because I don't know how anybody else is being treated. No one's been a jerk to me. So, I guess I don't really have a good answer with that. Like, I'm sure that I think the vibe that I may, pick off like some people is, you know, like they're okay for women type of a thing, or like
Right.
that kind of, but they're not gonna, you know, maybe think of it as the same as like a guy band or something. But that doesn't bother me at the same time. Like I don't, I'm so, I don't know, like down to earth about it all, that I just don't care. Like if someone isn't going to support us or whatever because we're female, fine, I don't care, So, but I don't know if we've really had that. I can't really say. I mean, I know like back, getting fan mail and stuff, like there were some people that, and there was one that actually that he wrote me a really nasty, weird letter, and like 30 years later, I was talking to, like, we ran into it, and I brought it up, and he was like, "Oh my God," he was so embarrassed about it. He was hoping that I would just like completely forgot it. I'm like, no, like I always like any of the really horrible stuff you never forget. But yeah, it was actually Paul from the band Splatteria. So if it shouldn't be surprising that he sent me like a really just a weird letter, and that he apologized for it, just saying that he was just so awkward back then that he just didn't, you know no, because I was like, it's funny because in a letter he said he was going to mail me a box of his shit. And because I was like, dude, like, why? I'm like, I was so paranoid for the longest time that if I got a package in the mail, it was going to be like someone's shit or something, all because you said that. And he was like, oh, no, I never would have actually done that. So, like, that's the only thing that really comes to mind. But at the same time, it wasn't like really mean. Like, it wasn't like he just thought he was being like over the top or something. But I don't know if anytime we play anywhere, people are always super nice to us. So I don't know if the guys are getting like a better treatment than us or not, but we never really have any problem with anybody. So I don't know.
Um, I mean, my situation might be a little bit different because obviously I'm trans. And I wouldn't say it's the venues, but sometimes the other bands on the bill or maybe some people in the crowd will kind of like, be giving you that kind of like stare walking around. And then typically though, I find once you get on stage and you do your thing, they'll be the ones that come up to you at the merch table and be like, "Oh, you guys are badass." And I'm like, "Yeah, thanks, dude. Appreciate it." And like, I mean, I live in the Southeast. The band's always been from the Southeast, so we've played around here tons of times. And I imagine, I mean, I feel like I do see more of that in the Southeast than I do in most other parts of the country. And it's just par for the course. But typically, I think if you just show that your heart's in the right place, people are usually pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree with both perspectives. So I've noticed a lot of the people who are like mad that there's women in metal, they're like, I don't know, basement dwellers or something, because they're just always on the internet. It's like,
They're
Right.
not really. I don't consider those people underground people at all, because they're not. They're
like,
missing the
go to
point of
shows
it.
do exist in the real world. I don't know, because I don't really see them out at shows. Like we don't really get any of that treatment in person. It's usually just online. When we did the European tour, there were definitely like some weird people, but I don't know if that was like a language barrier thing or what it was, but I remember we were on stage and some guy started like screaming animal noises every time it was quiet. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but I did notice he didn't do it for any of the other bands. So I don't know. That was like the weirdest and treatment that we've had. But aside from that, it's usually just like internet incel dudes that like pretty good for a girl kind of dudes. which like if I don't see you at a show, like you don't really exist to me. So
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
I don't think like they're real like metalheads. I don't think they're like that. I think those guys, I wish they would just go off into some other realm. Like they don't belong in the scene. They're not, they're just not they don't have the underground mentality, because there was always men and women. There was always like a fun dynamic between the men and the women. So I just don't understand these people that are coming out and acting like women don't belong and being rude and feeling they're okay to talk to you that way. Like that's, it's horrible.
It is horrible. It's also like strangely like homoerotic. Oh, it's a boys club
Yeah,
only. Okay. You
yeah,
can have that too.
yeah. Well, that's like one of what's a real common question that I get asked in interviews is, what's it like, it's usually the interviewer that's asking me these questions about being a female in a male dominated thing. And one time I ended up saying, like, I don't know, maybe they're all fat or something. I don't like, what do you want me to say? Like I don't know why anyone would have a problem of a girl being in a band in the scene. Like, what would be the problem? But then it was like, oh, you said that word or something. And it's just like, like they tried to flip it around or something. But it's like, but it's true. And like I don't think any of the guys would care, like honestly, that there's women in the scene. It is just like what you said. It's kind of like homophobic, or not homophobic, but uh,
Homoerotic.
yes,
Yeah.
that it's, they have the issue. Like it's not the women that are playing death metal that have the issue.
there is like a certain perspective that I have noticed. So I think that some guys do get jealous of women in the scene because, so, I don't know, it might be like it's more niche to see women in bands. So sometimes some women in bands can do better than men because there's women in the bands. Like there's actually, I notice it in hardcore a lot. I see the people like using their female member as the selling point for their band, and they like use it to push their band and to market their band. And sometimes guys
Uh,
get that and they're like, oh, well, you're using the fact that there's a girl to promote and market your band, but like they don't see the negative sides of it too, like getting all of the misogynist comments on our shit, or
mhm.
having to outperform guys to even be considered in the same tier as these guy bands. Like we have to kind of be better than them, or at least that's how I feel playing death metal. It just feels like you're kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like either way you're gonna get like scrutinized for just existing in the space. But I don't know, it's mostly just online people that have been an issue. And like I guess like people aren't used to seeing so many women in death metal. I think that's also what it is. And I guess like some people just don't like change. So seeing
Right.
someone in a scene with that didn't have as many women before, like maybe it
I
does make
think you're onto something there. I think that the older days there just wasn't that many people in it. Now there's a lot more people, so I think you're seeing more of that crowd that it's like all these newer people that have come into it, and they don't have like I don't know, like the same upbringing that everybody else had, like getting into it. So I don't think they really understand. um I don't know why they would think that it's like a male dominated, and I think that's kind of just become a headline, and people just kind of go with it, and people get into it thinking like, well, it's a male dominated, and there's like that's kind of like a um like now that shouldn't even be a topic. Like it's so mixed between male and females. I don't know why anyone would have a problem with it. If you don't like a band, then you don't go see them. End of story. That's with male or
Yeah.
female.
right.
I think that goes for race too, that a lot of these individuals are coming from a white male background, perceiving metal as being this is a white male thing. And then whenever a woman or a different minority starts really shredding it and just kicking ass, right? Then they're like, oh, this is threatening me as the superior white male or something like that. And
But it's
so
funny,
maybe,
like the
yeah,
underground was global. Like it was every, from all over the world. Like it wasn't just white America or white Europeans. Like it was, South America was huge.
right.
So it's weird that people have that mentality because it's just not factual.
Yeah, we've got death metal bands in Botswana, Africa. A couple summers ago, I shot a documentary on Korean extreme metal, but just interviewing some of those people too. They would say, going back to the online comments, saying that, oh, you shouldn't be in this. You're of a different group. So is that largely the consensus though? Is that you're not really getting those kind of like name 5 songs when you're wearing a shirt or something comments in person? Is this largely just those anonymous people just being awful online?
They're not anonymous. A lot of them will use their whole profile picture with like they're not always
They're proud of it.
Yeah, they're proud of it. But yeah, it's usually online, and then in person, like they're like too shy to even talk to you. So
that's what I mean. Like it's all like that online troll thing. Like I don't pay attention to online. Like in fact, on their Derkéta, I used to post videos on the YouTube channel, and then I just stopped. I stopped posting, and I disabled comments. I don't need to see anyone's opinion. It's just like, well, there it is. If you want to watch it, you can watch it, But there were some people that were trolling, and now that like you brought that up, I remember that we played the Day of Death Fest up in Buffalo, and there was a guy that went on and said like something to the effect that we must like had sex with the promoter to get on the show or something, and we're like, get the fuck out of here. Like these people just don't belong like anywhere. Like the old scene, like I swear to you, like those guys were not like that. They were so shy and so awkward that it was a completely different time era. You know what? I have to take her to potty. That's why she's acting up. Can I just step away for a minute? She's not gonna. She's getting into talking.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I mean, as metalheads, we're kind of all outcasts, right? So we're all
Right.
usually pretty nice and pretty endearing to each other. And it just seems like the guys that are not that way are usually the ones that are just the most miserable. It's like, if you do see them at shows, which is pretty rare, they are kind of off in a corner, typically either by themselves or with somebody else that's just, clearly somebody who's not very happy with their life. But in reality, everybody's like generally like so awesome and sweet, and they're just so stoked to be there, to see live music, to connect, and just, I mean, it's what we live for, right?
Exactly.
So, do you feel like metal is getting? Because I'm especially curious since Sharon said, well, since the beginning, right? It's been this mixed group of individuals. So, do you feel like it's becoming more inclusive, or is that maybe not the case? Are we going the other direction? Metal, I mean.
I personally feel like it has become more inclusive, even in like I haven't really been in the scene for that long. I started going to shows maybe in like 2019 or 2018. And even from that point, just so we're clear, it's because I didn't know how to drive and I couldn't get myself to shows. But even from that point, I noticed there's a lot more women at shows. Like there's a lot more women in bands. There's a lot more women at shows. There's more people of color at shows too. And this is like in the South, like, so I live in Texas right now. I'm moving back to Florida, but I started in the Florida scene. And when I used to go to shows, when I first started going to shows, it was all like older white men. And now when I go to shows, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many like minorities here. There's so many women here. There's so many like, just like a little bit of everything. And I think it's really awesome. I know like a lot of people are probably upset by it because again, they don't like change, but I personally think it's amazing. And like, that's why I wanted to like, I guess like make a space for myself in this community so that other people can see that and also feel like this could be a space for them too. Cause ultimately it's just about the music. If you like the music, then you belong here. It doesn't matter who you are or what your background is. If you like the music and you're genuinely into it and you resonate with it, then you belong just as much as anyone.
For sure. I think, I guess, kind of what you just touched on, like when I first started going to shows, like early 2000s, I'd go to see like a Cannibal Corpse or Immolation show, and I'd be kind of terrified because it's all these big, tough looking guys, and but I think this might be a Southeast thing, or at least like a non-northern big city kind of environment. Like, um, you know, I wish Sharon could comment right now, but I always heard about all these great scenes up north, like Chicago, Pittsburgh, Philly, New York, like, and those were areas like where people naturally grew up and kind of had exposure to heavier music or just harder rock in general. Like, I had to search to find Metallica, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, I've lived here my whole life in the city, and it was still hard to find metal stuff. So I feel like maybe the scene was always a little more diverse and rich and inclusive in the cities that just had more of a rock scene naturally. Down here in the South, I mean, it was like there there just wasn't a lot of exposure for death metal, especially. But I mean, just any kind of metal. I mean, outside of like System of a Down or something, just like it just seems like in the South particular, and I think a lot of this has to do with the internet. Everybody is like the metalheads are finding metal a lot quicker, and it's really like enriching the scene. And now, yeah, I see like far more people of color, far more different walks of life at metal shows, and it's wonderful. It is wonderful, but I definitely think there are, scenes and communities, probably further north where things are cooler. Um, where there were, it kind of was probably more inclusive even from the beginning. But yeah, like, I mean, really, I didn't start to see a lot of women and different people of color and walks of life at shows until like 2010 here. But now it's just like it feels like a northern city when I go out. Like it's really cool.
So Sharon, you said like back in the day, right, that there was always a good mix in metal. Do you feel like it's getting more inclusive now, or is it kind of going the other
Oh,
direction in some
I
ways?
think society is just so fucked up right now that it's
Yeah.
these are weird times. But back when you have to remember we were teenagers. Like we were like 15, 16 years old, so when I started going to metal shows, I didn't even have a driver's license yet, like I had to get someone to pick me up and take me to shows. So the guys, anyone that went to a show, we were just so happy to find other people that liked the same kind of music that we did. We didn't care what they looked like. We didn't care what race they were, what gender. We didn't care if they were gay. We didn't any, as long as they were cool. It was we had a blast with each other. And then when bands started touring and we started meeting people from like all over, everybody had the same mentality. Nobody, well, I mean, I think that, there were some people that like the bands that may have been like signed to a label and were tour, they had a little bit of ego, some of them, but it was just an ego that they thought they were better than us because we were just like demo bands. So when they would come into the show, like they'd walk around like they were like rock stars or something. And we would call them, kind of like posers or whatever, but that wasn't like the underground. As far as like the underground, people, it was, like I said, it was global. Like it didn't matter if they were Asian, as long as they're cool. And it seems that now, and it's the internet, like a lot of things that Morgan's bringing up, it's like online people. It's not so much in person, but it's the online trolls. So
Right.
there's a weird mentality that's happening, and like the stuff that Maddie was talking about, just with you know things that you're experiencing and stuff. I mean, it's such a shame that you guys didn't experience like how things should be. And I think a lot of it is because of the internet. It's like there's positives and negatives to the internet, but it used to be more of a club. It used to be more like a family type of environment. And now it's like there's just so many people that are just like causing problems for like no reason, and
Yeah.
it's such a shame, because no one, I really do see the good in everybody. And I think a lot of people, like, even if they are like getting slammed online for something, they're probably actually a cool person. They're just having a bad day,
Yeah.
but the way this culture is now, it's just everyone's like ganging up on each other and having all this drama. So like I stay away from all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just, I mean, I'm like, what, 50, going to be 56 this year, I just don't have it in me to participate in some kid that's gonna start mouthing off over something that's so stupid. It's, but unfortunately, with the online stuff, people, like, they get off on it. And I mean, it's such a shame that you guys are experiencing that weirdness. And the one advice that I would say is ignore it. Don't give it any fuel. Like, don't give them any attention, because that's what they want.
Yeah.
Those kind of people, that's what they want. I mean, you're still going to do what you're going to do. I mean, there's no one has the right to tell you not to play in a band, not to play a show, not to write music. These people, they they don't mean anything to the whole of you. Like, you're an individual. You're on this planet too. You have every right to do what you want to do. So just do it. So if these people are gonna say, mouth off this silliness or whatever, ignore it. Let them go off, and they're eventually going to get tired of talking. But if they start getting attention, they love it. There's so many people that I see online that they are so addicted to that drama. Like, they purposely are posting stuff, waiting for people to come in on comments, just so they can, like, feel, I don't know, like, powerful or something. But it's just ignore them, because eventually it's like a kid that's throwing a tantrum. Ignore them. They're going to get tired of it, and they're going to go off and do something else.
Yeah, does anyone else have some advice for maybe a young woman's new into the scene, starting to get some of these nasty comments online? What would you say to them?
Ignore them. Just do what you're going to do. Don't let anybody tell you different. They have no right to do that to you. And definitely find the right people to help you out if it gets to like an abusive type of a situation. I don't know if that happens, but I mean, I don't mean ignore if someone is being abusive to you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the online comments. If someone's like trying to, instigate, or, just don't even acknowledge it, and don't give it any thought. Like, don't obsess about it. Like, that guy that said this or whatever, get it out of your mind. I mean, there's more important things for you to focus on. Like, just forget about it. I know it's hard sometimes, because there are times that, something that happened to me 40 years ago will still come up in my head, and I'm still pissed about it. So, like, I know it's easier said than done, but really don't let it stop you.
Yeah, and I hope people, anybody watching too, knows not to tolerate any kind of abuse. And Sharon, both you and Lori Bravo from Nuclear Death, I interviewed years ago for a book I'm still writing, but she had a much more negative experience sometimes with in those early days. And so, yeah, people can have very different experiences. Any other advice?
Lori had it bad. Like, yeah, that is true. Lori did have she was in a very bad relationship and had a very bad experiences. Her and I have talked about that as well. And I'm glad that she got out of it, and seems that she's been doing well over the years. I mean, here and there, different things coming up and all that, but she definitely has her mind straight that to get out of the abuse.
Yeah, Lori is just a saint, a goddess. I mean,
she's amazing.
She came out to
really
our show. She is, and she came out to our show, and like, it was like, oh my God, you're Lori Bravo. Like, you're like kind of like meeting you, like like the stuff of legends, like it's so cool. Especially as someone who identifies as a woman in the scene, it's just like y'all were like literally like bigger than like I don't know. I mean, I'm a huge Megadeth fan, but to me, like you guys were like just as big as like Dave Mustaine or Evil Chuck
Oh
or
my
any of
God.
those. Like, no, seriously, because it's like, I mean, it's not just that you're a woman, but like your music fucking kicked ass. And I would say like some of your riffs and like some of Lori's riffs are like still some of the nastiest and heaviest in the genre. Like it's so cool. But I think overall, just to tell some somebody that's getting into metal, if they're facing it, just trust yourself. Just trust your gut. You know what you're doing. You're doing it because you love it. Just keep doing it. Don't let other people stop you. If you're around people, like even in your band, that seem to be kind of uh, you know, abusive in any way or just even kind of negative in any way, like find yourself somebody new to be around because there are plenty of us. There are tons of us. The whole scene, I think as a whole, like we've been talking about, like the real core of the scene is very positive and very embracing, and we're all here to empower each other because really, I think we just want to hear each other write the best riffs possible and push the music as far as it can go.
Mhm.
So, Sharon, Maddie just used the word legend to describe you. I've been wondering, how do you feel when somebody uses that term to describe you, or even to describe
Well,
some of the friends that you grew up with?
well, the funny thing about it, and Roy Fox can back this up, but I used to get really offended by that word, and it was Daryl from Funeral. He's involved in this story, but whenever we were doing uh, the Goddess of Death compilation CD, Daryl was writing something for like the cover, and he put the Legend of Derketa, and I was like, absolutely not. And I threw this biggest. I'm calling him up. I'm like, yelling at them, saying that legend that makes it, to me, it's like a legend is either Paul Bunyan or something that didn't really exist, and it's just like a tale, like a tale of something that, and I'm like, we existed and all this, we were real, like we're not a fucking legend. And they're like, no, it doesn't mean that, it means. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. If you're comparing it to like someone like Jimi Hendrix, like that's like, get out of here, like we're not like that. So I had a big problem with that word for the longest time, and now I see that okay, it's just like, you know, we just we if people want to say it, it's fine. Like I no longer get offended or whatever, but it's just funny because now the term's like really thrown around and stuff, and we all like that they're considered like the legends. Like when we talk about it amongst ourselves, it's really we're just the older people. We're not like we're like really legendary. It's just that we are just the older ones that were like doing this stuff when we were younger, and it's just like kind of like we're kind of like in this default age group, and it's like it's getting into like that term gets used on us, but none of us feel of ourselves as legends. Like we just kind of just like, well, you know,
So
and
when
that's what
people throw
people say.
around that term, often pictures of you with like a young Jeff Walker or a young Chuck Schuldiner
Yeah.
came up, and everybody in this conversation mentioned also Chuck Schuldiner as an influence. Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with him and what he was like?
We were just friends. And I still like he to me still is so amazing. Like my memories of him are I just thought he was a sweetheart. Um, we became friends because they toured around so much, and we went to an in store that it would have been the first time they were in Pittsburgh, which I think that was in 1988. And it almost seemed like I mentioned, like there was always like there's a good dynamic between men and women. Not that the men that are like, that think they're, that the assholes. I'm not talking like I don't hang out with assholes. So anyone that I associate with, or they're cool people. So, I think a lot of men will kind of feel comfortable talking to women about some things. And one of the things was like like, hey, do you guys know where there's like a hotel? Not like, I guess that sounds weird now, like saying it like that, but they were just like, want to know like where they could get something to eat, where there was a hotel or something. And the only place that I really knew, because like we were all pretty young, was a hotel near my parents' house. And every year, like Death would stay at that hotel, and then they would call Terry or something, and say, hey, like we're here, so we'd go hang out, and we would just like spend the day with them around the shows. And one time we even rode with them in their RV from Pittsburgh to Cleveland. And back then it was we were always driving through other states to go to shows and stuff. So it was it was just the like all these like fun road trips and stuff. But like Chuck was just so soft spoken and so nice. But he was definitely misunderstood. And I could see that even back then. It was he would get aggravated over things that I don't think the rest of the band would really understand. But like I understand, because when you're a vocalist, guitarist, you're kind of at the mercy of everyone, because you're stationary on the stage. You have to like be in one spot. You got the microphone right in front of us. And one of Chuck's one of his biggest gripes was the crowd going nuts, and then not being respectful that of him, and then the microphone hitting him in the mouth. And he almost he got hit really, really bad one time, where he thought like he might have lost a tooth or something. So he was really upset about that. So like it seemed like the rest of the band were like, oh, here he goes complaining again. And it wasn't that he was upset with the fans. It was just like how do you get around that kind of a thing? And I completely understand that point of view, because I get very if the crowd starts going crazy and I'm like stuck standing there like stationary to a microphone playing, and I don't have any way to block people around me, like I too get that anxiety. So I think a lot of people would hear him complain and they would misunderstand him, but he's completely logical in what he was saying. So there was like certain things like that I would observe. But he was always so sweet, funny. Like they were always like, teasing each other and joking around with each other. So it was always a fun time with them. And Carcass, just the same. I love the Carcass guys as well. And it's funny because Jeff, he sometimes will get like very misunderstood because of his sense of humor. And he's very dry with his some things he says, and so a lot of people will get offended by it, but it's like, to me, I think it's hilarious because I know how his personality is. But he too is a sweetheart. I mean, I just wish Chuck, I wish that didn't happen to him. But I got I'm in contact with Chuck's dad, and I love Chuck's dad just as much as Chuck. He's a sweetheart. Like they're just great people.
So what's next for each of you? What do you have going on? Is there a highest peak that you're aiming for that you'd like to climb? What do you have going on?
I'm just trying to get through this recording. I mean, as you know, like Trish has cancer, and that's
right. Yeah.
That's she's not in a good spot right now. I'm sorry, my dog's like she's wants to go back out. But like she hasn't been able to play with us in about a year. And I know. She hasn't been able to play with us in a year, and we're just hoping that things will settle down. But we don't know if she's going to be able to return to the band or play on the recording or anything. And that's kind of been why we've been quiet, because we're still holding out for her that she's going to feel well enough. And it's not just the cancer. I mean, she also got carpal tunnel, so she hasn't been able to play her guitar. And then she got like swelling from like her lymph nodes and the drainage and stuff. So her arm's very sore. So she's going through hell. I mean, and
Yeah.
it's really hard for us to plan anything, because it feels weird for us to do, plan anything while she's struggling for, really her life. I mean, she's stage 4, and we're just waiting it out for her that she's going to get, to a point where she can come back to us and then we can record. And and then, I mean, we have, like, we're talking to some people for, like, this year, we're just like, no, we're not going to play any shows. So we had some shows that we were starting to go in discussions about, but we pulled out of them because of the circumstances. But we're talking to them about next year, possibly, so we may have to get a fill-in for Trish if she's not able to do it. It's just, we just don't know what's going to happen with her arm with everything that's been going on, because she had to have surgery that affected her shoulder. So it's a lot of healing, and she's just starting a new chemo, and anytime she starts anything, she's the strongest girl. And I know everyone says that about people that are fighting through severe illnesses, but she really is tough. Like, I don't know how she keeps herself, going. But she does. And I mean, she truly, I mean, she means the absolute world to me. And as soon as that this next treatment, I'm really hoping that it gets her back to a better state where her body can start healing better. And I really hope she can return. But
yeah, much love to Trish. I'm sure we're all hoping for the best.
Thank you.
Yeah. When I got to meet her when we played with y'all, I was like, she just has a strength in her aura, like what you were talking about. Like, I'm glad she's using that as best she can to get through this.
She's the smartest person like that that I know. She's like like at rehearsal, like if I'll start talking about something, like yeah, I heard about something about this and that, and she's like, oh, and she'll know like the scientific word for it, and she'll start going into detail about it. So she's someone like that. So we really enjoy being in a band with her, and I'm hoping that she's getting well to where she can come back. So thank you.
So, what the rest of you have going on here? What's next for you?
We're just trying to write this next album. We have a lot of ideas for different songs. I think I think I can finally say one song is complete, but I don't really like to say that until we really are basically ready to go to the studio.
Right.
But it's coming along. Like I said, there's been some writer's block, but we're working through it. I have a new guitarist working with me, and he's phenomenal. He's just a shredder. The dude plays like Jakey Lee. Just really cool stuff. Yeah, I know. It's a dream come true.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's trying to do some touring. I just got a new job, and it's a job that I love. So I certainly, in the years past, I had like crappy jobs and would always just be like, yeah, fine, I'll take time off without pay, and just go tour. This job's a little different, so I'm kind of navigating that, but I would love to get back out west as soon as possible, just because I love the shows out there. The scene out there is so great.
I've never been there yet.
Wait, really?
Oh, wait, no, we said, well, we did play Northwest Terror Fest.
Yeah,
that's in Washington. Yeah, so that was fun. Yeah, so sorry. Yeah, that was nice.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, all up and down. And really, I mean, I just want to get out again. Like, we did that 30-day tour with Mortuous, and it was just the coolest experience ever because, I mean, I just got to see all different types of scenes and all different types of parts of the country, and just everybody is a little different, but that same core of just loving metal is there, and that's just what I live for.
Yeah, we played together on that tour.
Yeah, we did. It was awesome.
That was fun, yeah.
One of the best shows I've ever, like, just memory-wise, it was just so fun, so fun.
I enjoyed it too. Except I had the I don't know if that was happening to you, the ground loop happening with the microphone. I kept getting shocked.
Yeah. That happened to me like 4 times on that tour. The worst was in LA. Like it literally left a mark on my lip. It was awful. I was so pissed. Like the videos from that show are ferocious because I'm fucking pissed off. But yeah, it's like it was not fun. It was not fun.
Morgan, is there a new Emasculator coming?
There is new Emasculator coming. We're gonna be recording in the next 2 weeks. The drums are already recorded. I can't really say a whole lot about it yet, but we are going to be working on a longer release in the near future too. And then we are playing Maryland Death Fest, and we have like a few other shows that aren't announced yet for this year. But
That's good.
That's awesome.
And then I'll just sneak in a couple here, start to wrap things down. So how do you feel about the current state of death metal? How are things looking to you? Do you have any complaints? Is everything great? What do you think?
I'm probably the worst to ask because I don't really pay too much attention about current times. I live in such a sheltered, happy place. So I when I go out, it seems, I mean, it's good to see that there's a lot of people that are interested in it. You know, but it's a different feel for me. Me and my friends talk about it all the time. It's different. You know, and I don't know exactly what the difference is, if it's just an aging thing. You know, like a lot of times, like we're at a show, I'm just like, oh, I'd rather be home, you know, with the dog versus being out. So I have a different attitude now. So that may be it. But it is good to see that there's so many more people into it back versus back, you know, when it was like such a truly underground.
I have mixed feelings about it. I think there's a lot of really sick bands coming out, and yeah, just like carrying the torch, which is really sick. I've definitely noticed like a huge culture shift since like the OSDM revival done by the hardcore kids. Like I can't go to a show without being punched in the face now, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
What?
I'm getting used to it. Yeah,
Are you talking
like,
about in a pit, like in the pit type of a scenario, or are people just punching you?
they're doing like hardcore dancing at shows now,
Crowd
which is-
killing, two-stepping.
yeah, crowd
Yeah.
killing. They do hardcore stuff at shows now, which I'm like trying not to be like old and bitter about it.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the
I'm
same
not into
page.
that.
Like here in Savannah, the scene is so young, but they're a thriving scene. There's a lot of people, but I'll go to a show and the band would be killer, and the whole time, like they're doing all this, and like I get punched in the face twice, and I feel too old to be getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
But yeah,
for work
makes me
too
feel
much.
like a grumpy old man. Like, oh, these kids, we used to shove
Yeah.
mosh. That was better.
Yeah, but there's a brutal death metal revival with a lot of like really young kids, which is really sick. New Standard Elite is signing a lot of them, and I think that's awesome. I'm hoping there's more like innovation in the next few years, because like the trend seems to be just like worship bands where people are literally
Oh,
Yeah.
copying it, like exactly the formula of like one specific band. And like I don't think we need
Incantation.
growers. So like I hope the worship band trend dies, and like people start being a little more like weird and experimental with death metal, because like
that's my big complaint.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, if you think about it, and this is what I always, you know, talked about with my friends, is the fact that like when we were growing up, you could always tell a band if it was Fleetwood Mac, Pink Floyd, all releasing at the same time, you know, but they weren't trying to copy each other. They were their own, you know, their own band. Like they have their own sound. Like they were distinguishable on the radio. I miss that. Now it's like this could be this band, it could be this band, it could be this band. I don't know. Like I like if you put in Bolt Thrower, you know that is Bolt Thrower.
right.
You know, and I don't like a band that if I put in that it's like trying to mimic Bolt Thrower. I want a
Right.
band to be themselves. So it's, yeah, I noticed that too. It's funny you brought that up because I was like, what is going on? Like, and people seem to accept it as like, as a good thing. Like they're excited about it. So I guess it's to each their own. But yeah, me personally, I want to see what people can come up with. Like how sick can you get with it without trying to be somebody else?
Yeah,
Anyway, sorry for another rant.
I mean, I kind of see both sides too. Like, I think generally it's cool that there's so much going on. There's definitely a whole thing where it's just like, is the scene oversaturated though? Because it's like
Yes.
there's like a new album every day now, and it's like, oh my
Yeah.
God. It's
I
so hard to
know.
keep up with, and it's not that like I don't think it's all bad by any means, but that the problem is there's so much that it's hard to sift through and find the stuff that actually is cool and unique and good. Like, oh, this band's gonna like is totally doing something different. It's hard to find that because there's just so much going on. It's just like I don't even know if I want to try to even dive into this right now because
That's
yeah,
exactly what. Yep.
yeah, and it just it yeah, it's and it sucks because it's like it's not a bad sign that the scene is getting oversaturated. It means that there's a lot of people who are really passionate about it right now. And I think that's absolutely like, I mean, passion is what breeds good music, right? So I think it's a good thing, but it's just, I don't, I don't know. And I think it is like people who are so obsessed with their influences, like they are not necessarily just getting into death metal, but maybe figuring out like how to play death metal. And that's why a lot of the stuff kind of comes off sounding so similar to their influences.
That could be. Yeah.
And but at the same time, it's like, but don't do that, dude. Like just like what do you hear? Play what you hear, you know? Like and just yeah, I don't it is what it is. But I think generally the scene is very strong. Definitely the strongest I've ever seen it. And I've been going to shows, you know, obviously not as long as some of you, but like since I don't know, like 2003 or something. It just seems like there's so much more going on, and it's not just, you know, there's a billion labels now too,
Yeah.
which I think is a good thing overall. It
There's
just,
quantity and not quality, and
yeah,
it's very hard to find the quality now. Like there was an order back a long time ago that may have we may have complained about it back then, but now seeing how there is no order, we kind of wish like that all came back and there was somebody that was monitoring like what was happening, because like everybody's releasing every no one starts with a demo, nobody's shopping around everybody comes out with an album, and
yeah,
it's just it's like you said, it's saturation.
yeah. It's like inherently to me, gatekeeping is a very toxic thing, but I'm also like, but should we be doing that?
Exactly, I know, that's what I mean. It's like when you first hear about like, oh yeah, that's all bullshit and all this, but then it's like, no, I don't know, maybe we kind of need that.
Yeah.
But there was a thing like back in a long time ago, it was like the labels, it's like like Earache and Peaceville, like all those like labels, it was so hard to get their attention, and now it's kind of like that was probably a good thing, because then we got some really good classic albums, from like their releases, versus now it's just, there's no more like Left Hand Path and, that kind of a controlled release, and the promotion, and it's, like I said, back then we kind of complained about it. We wanted to kind of like fuck these like corporate labels and all that, but now it's like, oh, I think, we went too far with it.
Because now everybody can record by themselves, right?
Not
And
special
create a whole
anymore.
album and put it online. And now they can even do that with AI. AI makes their music and their artwork. And so just increasingly, how do we filter through it all to find the good stuff? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
difficult.
It's just not
Yeah.
special anymore.
Yeah. It's like it's the same thing with like the whole downloading music thing, like music online. Like Lars was right. He didn't
He
go
was
about it the
right.
right way.
He was
But he
right.
was right. You know,
He
I
was
hate to say
100%
that.
right, and I was against him back then. I thought he was being just like a rich asshole, you know, like wanting more money, and I didn't realize at the time that he was actually fighting for us.
Right. Yeah.
And now it's like, I'm sorry, Lars, you know,
Yeah. Like,
you know, but he totally like now it's like, oh, this is what you meant.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, get your nickel from
Wow.
Spotify and
Oh, I don't even register for any of that stuff. It's just,
Yeah, I
you
still
know.
listen to CDs exclusively. I think you do too, right, Kyle?
so yeah, I've got like 9,000 CDs, but largely I'm ripping them or streaming them, but I'm not paying for anything like Spotify or anything. But yeah, I'm not actually like playing the physical CD most of the time. Especially since a lot of my CDs, like you can't replace them at this point either. But yeah, so apologies if that bursts anybody's bubble at home that just imagines that I'm just like putting in, have a whole ritual to it like vinyl people. But no, I'm playing YouTube half the time in my car,
Me
to be
too.
honest. So
I do the
yeah.
same thing. Like I buy the CDs because I want to have the CD, and then but I rarely listen to the actual CD. It's just more
Yeah.
convenient to go on YouTube and stream it.
Yeah,
Which,
and
yeah.
I guess I'm my own middleman for that since I upload full streams of all these rare albums you can't find on anything else, and I'm listening to those when I'm driving, and I'm uploading what I already like. So, yeah, I guess I'm my own streaming service in that way. So I really appreciate all of your time today. Is there anything else that any of you want to mention that maybe we didn't cover in any of these questions?
Be yourself, don't be an asshole, and just keep it heavy and evil.
Yeah, be authentic.
Any advice specifically for men that could be doing better in terms of supporting women in the scene? Since this video is for Women's Death Metal History Month, but what can the men do to help support?
I mean, I say if they're into it, they are. If they're not, they're not. Like, you know, go whine in a corner somewhere if it bothers you that much. You know, it's, you know, I don't know if there is any advice for people like that. Really, it's just, I mean, I guess I can't fault them if they're not into it because it is a bit strange. It can be strange, and you know, but it's just, whatever, you know.
I think my advice would just be, honey, relax. Like,
Exactly.
just enjoy the music.
Yeah, it's not that serious. And if you feel angry on the internet, just like log off and go outside or something. Go to a show.
Yeah, it is weird how serious people take this stuff too, and it's, you know, playing it really fast and tuning so low. Sometimes you can't differentiate the notes, and then we're making monster noises, right? Nobody walks around and talks like that, so
Yeah.
it's objectively silly. This thing we all love to do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, and it's like, you
borderline-
know, it's not our full-time job. It's like, to me, like I still see the band as like a garage band, and we're just having fun with friends. If
Right.
someone has a problem with that, I'm like, oh, sorry, you know, don't mean to upset you. Like, we're not bothering anyone. We're not, you know, trying to cause a commotion or whatever. So, you know,
Yeah.
So thank you all so much for your time today, for having this great discussion. I really enjoyed it. I think people love hearing from you and seeing you all interact with each other too. And so, yeah, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Big fan of all of yours. Looking forward to whatever you do next.
thanks. And Morgan, I'll see you at MDF.
Yes, I'll see you at MDF. Sick.
Okay.
Thanks for
All right,
having
see
me.
you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. What an amazing conversation. What a privilege that was for me too. I really enjoyed just hearing some of their different experiences, and hopefully you got some broader tips too on not only different experiences people go through, but also just some general tips about you know, writing lyrics, writing songs, doing multiple different things live like vocals and playing guitar. And so Women's Death Metal History Month continues. We've got one more week. And so like, subscribe, all that, and I'll see you next week.